Hello, my name is Joshua Sisko, and this is my oral presentation on mental illness. When I was 5 years old, my mom told me that my brother had been diagnosed with ADHD. I didn't know what that was at the time. I was very unsure of what it meant for my brother as an adult, what it was caused by, and what its side effects are. This kind of sparked my interest in psychology and the psychological approach to mental illnesses that we have today. So what is mental illness? It is a condition that affects a person's thinking, feeling, or mood, according to NAMI.org. There's a couple different types. There's developmental, there's behavioral, there's dissociative, there's sleep disorders, and there's personality disorders. According to WebMD, there's not one true cause. Evidence suggests that it's biological, emotional, and environmental factors that play the largest part in why they occur. I'll begin with the developmental disorders. Developmental disorder is a disorder that takes place around the time that a child starts school. So ADHD is usually determined by the time a kid starts school. It can be recognized by the inability for the individual to focus on certain subjects, their social interactions with others, and just further mental capabilities. Down syndrome is another example. It can have serious side effects and it's permanent. It can limit a person's physical capability as well as mental. The next are the behavioral disorders. It's a disorder that alters the behavior of an individual, according to PsychCentral.com. They say that the cause is mainly because of a traumatic event in a person's life, so post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, depression even. Schizophrenia is a behavioral disorder. All of those have serious side effects, or can. They vary in severity, but they can be destructive to social relationships and familial relationships. The next are the dissociative disorders. What qualifies something as a dissociative disorder is anything that calls for the individual to feel dissociated from themselves. So a traumatic event that happens that the brain doesn't quite understand how to interpret the information, and it calls for the individual to distance themselves from themselves. So there's a bit of an identity crisis in there. But some of the examples are depersonalization disorder, dissociative amnesia, and identity disorders. They're usually treated through psychotherapy, cognitive and creative therapy, and sometimes medication. The next are the sleep disorders. A sleep disorder, according to Healthline, is a group of conditions that affect the ability to sleep well on a regular basis. So, you can have a messed up circadian rhythm to where the clock, like your body's internal clock, doesn't quite tick right, or you're having trouble staying awake at noon when you're at school or something. It can disturb a person's sleep schedule. It can impede a person's productivity and overall mental health. Sleep is crucial for human beings. We need sleep to rejuvenate our body, and it can lead to a lot of things. It can lead to depression, it can lead to lack of concentration, and just difficulty staying awake. Narcolepsy is one of the cases that's actually quite the opposite. You're having trouble staying awake, but you don't have control over whether or not you go to sleep. It's just you could be doing a simple task like studying for a quiz and you just pass out, or you could be driving and you fall asleep. Dangerous at times. The next are the personality disorders, which are the most abundant. According to healthline.org, mental health conditions are characterized by inflexible and unhealthy patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So, what does that mean? When something's an unhealthy way of thinking, humans are social creatures. So, you can be a paranoid person. If you're paranoid, then that means you don't trust others. You always feel like there's some malice, intent behind people's actions. So, there's paranoid, there's schizoid personality disorders, there's schizotypal personality disorders, antisocial disorders, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic. All of those call for an individual to, in some way, socially distance themselves or place themselves higher on the hierarchy. Narcissism, for one, is the person, you don't have any interest in what others have to say or how they feel about certain things. You don't care about their opinions. You believe that you're more important than everyone else, which can be destructive to some relationships. The majority of them, though, they vary in severity. So they're not all like, you're just a hermit. Sometimes they can lead to contemplating suicide. There is the other extreme. It really just depends on the type of personality disorder. But an example would be OCD. Even OCD is a personality disorder that's not too destructive. It can be. It really just depends. Why is any of this important? Why are any of these, why can we relate these to everyday life? Well, in a Scientific American magazine written by Michael Balter, he wrote an article on schizophrenia research that was conducted. And here's a quote from that article. In the U.S. alone, estimates place the total cost of caring for patients at more than $60 billion a year, a figure that includes both direct health care costs and indirect economic losses from unemployment and early death. Any breakthrough in understanding the causes of the illness would be a major medical advantage. That right there that's one personality disorder, or behavioral disorder. That's one mental illness. The amount of other mental illnesses out there are astounding. And that's just one. As far as scientific advancement goes, the study that they conducted identified 108 genetic regions that were linked to schizophrenia. That's incredible. That says that there's 108 different places that can lead to the mental illness schizophrenia, which is a fairly severe mental illness. It alters reality, delusion, hallucinations. The takeaway from this is, we need to be doing more research on what these disorders are caused by, how we can potentially eliminate them from the populations, from happening in the future populations, and just learning how to deal with it, because it's very, very abundant in today's life, today's atmosphere. It's very, very common for people to have a mental disorder. Thank you.